Hi and welcome to the Quick Start Guide for Inspection System Pro. Let's get started by creating a new third-person project, but you can of course use your existing project. Before we import Inspection System Pro, let's enable all necessary plugins. With the project open, navigate to the Plugins window and search for Enhanced Input System. If you are on newer Unreal Engine versions, this should be enabled by default. If you enabled it, make sure to restart Unreal Engine now. Next up, we will ensure that Enhanced Input System is configured correctly. Open the project settings and under Engine, open the Enhanced Input section. Open the foldout for User Settings and click the checkmark for Enable User Settings. After that, navigate to the Input section and make sure that the enhanced input classes are used in your project. Again, for newer projects, the classes should already be set here. Now everything is ready to import Inspection System Pro. Open the Epic Games Launcher and navigate to the Vault. Search for Inspection System Pro and press the Add to Project button. Search for your project and press Add to Project. If anything pops up in the bottom right, just press the Import button to accept. Let's navigate to Inspection System Pro, Example Content, Levels, Inspection Hall. Press play and test if everything works with our sample character. At this point, everything should be up and running to use Inspection System Pro with our included character. But let's continue with the integration into a custom player character and player controller. Navigate to World Settings window and let's change the game mode to the game mode used throughout your project. As you can see, this changes the player character and player controller classes used in the level. The player character class is all right, but for the player controller, you need to create a new blueprint or use an existing custom player controller you already have. We are going to navigate to third-person blueprint and create a blueprint of type player controller. Let's name this BP third-person player controller. Now let's add the inspection controller component to our player controller. Make sure you don't select the character component. Let's save and close the player controller. Back in our world settings, we can now set our custom player controller class to be used in our level. Next up, we'll make some changes to the player character that is used in our level. So let's open up the character blueprint, and up here, add the inspection character component. Again, make sure you don't add the wrong component here. To make the next step a bit easier, we are going to open up the character that comes with Inspection System Pro. Open the blueprint named Inspection Character. Copy the events of Open Menu, Interact, and Any key, and paste them to the event graph of your own player character. You should now be able to interact with all inspections. You can check out the item inspection. The reader UI only documents, and if we run over here, even the scene inspection already works. You should also now be able to press O to open up the Discovery menu. This menu will display all the items we have discovered throughout our gameplay. Only if you interact with a document that requires animation, you will see some odd behavior. So let's fix that next by opening up your character's skeletal mesh. The easiest way to find the skeletal mesh used by your player character is to select the mesh component and in the Details panel, look for Skeletal Mesh Asset. Click the Browse to Asset button. This will bring you right to the asset, and if you open it up, you can switch to the Skeletal Mesh Editor by pressing this button. This editor lists all bones and sockets that can be used for animations. We use sockets to spawn the camera at the right position and to attach the document to your character's hand. To make the next step a bit easier, let's repeat this to open up the skeletal mesh used by our inspection character example. We can also directly open the skeletal mesh from the content browser. In our example, character's hierarchy, let's scroll down until we find upper arm _R. This bone has our camera socket attached to it. Let's right-click the camera socket and select Copy Selected Sockets. Switch to your own character's skeletal mesh and look for upper arm _R. Right-click the bone and select Paste Sockets. As you can see, the socket should already be in a position where its x-axis looks down at the document in the character's hand. So let's try that out. Our camera seems to be correct now. We are just missing the document itself. So let's get back to our skeletal mesh editor and finish the job. Under middle _0, 1 _R, we have the right-hand front socket and the right-hand back socket. Let's copy the over to our custom character's skeletal mesh. With all 3 sockets in place, we can now give it another playtest. And just like that, we have a document in our hand. Press F to try the flip animation and see if everything looks all right. If it all looks good for you now, this tutorial is over. But if the animations don't play, you should stick around. Navigate to Example Content Animations. This is where our document animations are located. Select the blue montage files by holding Ctrl, right-click, and select Retarget Animation Assets, Duplicate and Retarget. This will open up the Animation Retarget window. Up here, we can select a retargeting asset. By default, you should have the options to retarget from an Unreal Engine 5 skeleton to an Unreal Engine 4 skeleton, to retarget from an Unreal Engine 4 skeleton to an Unreal Engine 5 skeleton, or retarget from an Unreal Engine 5 skeleton to another Unreal Engine 5 skeleton. Our animation was recorded using an Unreal Engine 5 skeleton, and the custom character we use in this video also uses one. Let's set source to the skeleton SKM Quinn that is used in our inspection character. Double-check the path to make sure you got the correct one. And as target, we are just going to pick SKM Manny Simple. Press Retarget to start the process. Unreal will create a bunch of new animation files at the root content directory. Let's copy them over to a new animations folder to clean this up. Now let's change the animations that are used by our document inspection by navigating to example content, data, DA_document config. Make sure you select the document config that is set in your inspection content data asset. In our case, this is the correct one. Drag the flip animation to the flip variable, the pickup to pickup, the put away to put away, and lastly the read animation to the read variable. Let's save this, and just to test this, we are going to change the skeletal mesh used by our character to Manny. Let's give the inspection another try now. The animation plays now, but as we can see, the animation is not quite right for Manny's big hands. You can adjust the positioning of the document by changing transform of the right-hand front socket and right-hand back socket. Let's open up the skeletal mesh again. And to see Manny, we will have to swap out the preview mesh here and set it to Manny. We can also add a preview animation to make this a little easier. Let's set it to either read for the front socket or flip for the back socket. The camera socket already looks all right for Manny, but if you want to change it, feel free to change it here. Let's start with the back socket. Right-click the right-hand back socket and add a preview asset to the socket. Search for paper and select it. Now we got a pretty good view of how our final result will look like. We can see that the main problem seems to be that Manny's thumb sticks up instead of hiding behind the paper. We won't be able to fix that just by adjusting the sockets, but let's do it anyway to match the rest of the hand. It may take some trial and error to get this just right, but it's pretty straightforward. Now let's remove the preview asset by right-clicking the socket and selecting Remove All Attached Assets. And add the paper as preview asset to the front socket. Let's also switch to the read animation for our preview. This one looks much better for Manny, and we should be able to get a good result here. That looks good enough. Let's remove the preview asset and let us test this one more time. The front page animation looks great. You can see that if your mesh is similar to Quinn, you will have an easy time with adjusting the sockets to perfectly match. The back socket also looks okay, except for the thumb sticking through our paper. To fix this kind of mismatch, you will have to edit the animation asset itself and create an animation that suits your character. You can do this directly in Unreal Engine using Control Rig. Open up the animation level included in Inspection System Pro under Example Content, Animations. This is where we recorded our animations. You can change the skeletal mesh that is used in this level here. Select the flip sequence in the level and press Open Level Sequence. Click anywhere under the Control Rig root node to enable the Control Rig handles. You can now transform the handles to change the position and rotation of different limbs. We are just going to do a quick and dirty job to get the thumb out of the way. Make sure to hit the Add Keyframe button to save the changes we made to the thumb. Save the sequence. To actually use this Control Rig animation, we can create a linked animation sequence. Select a good place to store the animation sequence. And let's check it out. Much better, the thumb is behind the paper. Now, right-click it to create an animation montage from it. In the animation montage, we are going to disable the auto blend out so that our animation stops at the last frame. Now let's open our document config and swap out the flip montage with our new one. Time to test our new animation. It's still not perfect, but if you play around with the control rig and sockets, you will be able to find a perfect placement for any character. We hope this video got you up and started with Inspection System Pro. But if you have any questions, feel free to join our Discord server to get any help you may need. If you want to support us, make sure to give us a review on the Unreal Engine Marketplace. It would really help us a lot. Good luck with your project and see you on the next video.